In an age where the vast majority of the world sits frozen in fear, paralyzed, awestruck at the great power that is artificial intelligence, I would like to lead off today's video by positing a very simple question that every first-year law student gets confronted with, and they universally get it wrong. It's also one of those questions that artificial intelligence will never be able to figure out the right answer on its own, because it requires a human mind. It requires something that cannot be programmed in simple ones and zeros or even at the quantum level. Now, what if I told you that particular question has direct connection to something that Donald Trump said today? Would that interest you? Stick with us. You're going to really enjoy this video. Real quick though, as always, I want to express gratitude. Thank you to everyone who continues to join us over the Florida Maquis Patreon channel, where it's only $1 per month, even less than that if you sign up for an entire year. Fully refundable first 90 days, no questions asked. There's a $1 level and a $5 level, hundreds and hundreds of never-before-seen videos, primarily dealing with psychological operations, that will inform you in a way that you'll never see anywhere else. The 24 basic cognitive biases, the 24 basic logic fallacies, once you get a grip on that, those weapons will now be at your disposal, and you will never fall victim or prey to psyops or propaganda ever again. Would love to have you over there. God bless every one of you who has joined us. I sure appreciate it. Now, without any further delay, here's the question. Man comes home from work and his wife's out on the patio and says, "Honey, I need to have a conversation with you. There's something I'm done. You're gonna be kind of disappointed and hurt." As you know, I have been taking handgun lessons, and I had met this guy, and he was really great, and he showed me a lot, and we became close. And one night, one thing led to another, and I had an affair. And it's been going on for quite some time, and I just felt horribly guilty about it, and I needed to tell you about it. Well, the guy has a mixture of revulsion and anger and disappointment and shame and all this. And he storms out of the house, and he goes and grabs a weapon. He goes over to the guy's house, and he sees the guy sitting there on his couch, what it looks like passed out after having had one too many drinks. And so he pulls out his rifle, and he empties 6 right into his chest, and then leaves. Well, next day, of course, it gets reported that what's happened, he's found. But the coroner found that the man hadn't passed out from drinking too much. The man had actually had a brain tumor and had been dead for 2, maybe 3 hours before the husband went in and shot him. So the husband was really shooting at a man who was already dead. He just didn't know it. Now, is the husband guilty? Yes. Now, someone say, "Well, wait a minute. Wait, but he didn't kill him. The brain tumor killed him." Well, it goes to intent. See, he believed he was. He believed he was doing that, and his actions were one that, if it hadn't been for the brain tumor, would have led to the eventuality anyway. So yes, he is guilty. Now, this is something that AI would never figure out just knowing the facts. He would say, "Well, no, if the man was already dead, how can you kill somebody who's already dead? And if he didn't kill him, how can you charge him?" AI will never figure that out. Now, what does this have to do? 4 minutes in. 4 minutes in, what does this have to do with Donald Trump? Earlier today, at Real Donald Trump, verified this. This is Donald Trump speaking. Spoke with Mark Fisher yesterday. A great guy. Very honored to have his and BLM's support. BLM being Black Lives Matter. "I have done more for black people than any other president, parentheses Lincoln, question mark, including 10-year funding for historically black colleges and universities where they had non-opportunity zones, criminal justice reform, and much more. Thank you to Mark." Now, some folks might go, "Wait a minute. Donald Trump is accepting an endorsement from Black Lives Matter after all the tweets Horrible BLM chant, pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon. Maybe our great police who have been neutralized and scorned by a mayor who hates and disrespects them won't let this symbol of hate be affixed to New York's greatest streets, meaning BLM. Trump calls BLM symbol of hate, confirming that that's what was done. Criticizes Black Lives. A lot of Trump supporters are like, yeah, we're definitely against Black Lives Matter. And Governor Ron DeSantis, pointed this out. Now, here was the pushback. You ready for the pushback? Did a BLM, a Rhode Island founder, endorse Trump? There's more to the story. Now, apparently, the deal is that the guy, this individual, this Mark Fisher, at one time was a leader of BLM, but apparently is no longer and wasn't a co-founder. There's this guy named Gary Dantzler right here who says that this guy is not associated with BLM or all this. And there's a problem with that too, is because here's Dantzler and Mark Fisher in the same picture together. So there's back and forth on this as to whether the guy that was endorsing Trump actually has the authority to speak for BLM or any offshoot or tangential organization. What does that have to do with our original story? See, none of that matters. Donald Trump believes. Donald Trump himself, in his own tweet, says that he believes that Mark Fisher was a representative of BLM and was very honored to have his support. It doesn't matter whether Mark Fisher actually is or actually isn't. See, just like in our story, it didn't matter. It doesn't matter in law, pardon me here, whether this guy knew that the person was deceased of a brain tumor or not. It was his intent. It was his intent. It didn't matter what he did or didn't know about the medical state of the person he was emptying rounds into. It was his intent to go do that. And that's why he would, in America, and you can look this up, would face charges for it and be convicted. Even though technically, he wasn't the cause. The brain tumor was. And that's why in this particular case, Donald Trump, it doesn't matter if Mark Fisher, if the guy, it could have been somebody pretending they were Mark Fisher. Somebody could have gone to Hollywood and got all sorts of makeup and put it on and said, and he could have then gone to Donald Trump and said, I endorse you. That Donald Trump would value and brag about and endorse any support from BLM and then go put it out and say, this is, such a great thing and a wonderful, fantastic thing. And Donald Trump has not disavowed this. Is the only and real smoking gun. In fact, you could read this another way. You could read this tweet another way. Let's say, we'll be speaking with Mark Fisher tomorrow. I mean, he could have put this out days before. He's a great guy, very honored. We'll be having his and BLM support. Apparently, we'll be announcing this in the coming days. Wouldn't matter whether it had already happened or not, whether it happened yesterday, that he would brag about it, regardless of who Mark Fisher is or Mark Fisher isn't, whether he's associated with him or whether he's not associated with him. Whoever it was, you could even erase Mark Fisher completely. Donald Trump could say, I'm very honored to have BLM support. I am very honored to have BLM support. And then go on to list all the things that you've done for black people. Opportunity zones. Criminal justice reform. Criminal justice reform is the reason there's no bail crimes. There's no cash bail. The reason that stores are pulling out of major cities because they can't keep inventory on the shelves because they're just losing billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars is quote unquote criminal justice reform. And this is what he's bragging about. Now, if this had been anybody else, if this had been Nikki Haley, if this had been Ron DeSantis, I can't imagine a universe where that would be the case. If this had been Chris Christie, if this had been Vivek Ramaswamy, if this had been anybody else, Trump would have been 2 feet down their throat talking about how they're a globalist and how they're a rhino and how they're a traitor. Talking in any kind of positive light about BLM. And go do the history on this. This is from 2020. October of 2020. This was July of 2020. That article is from October. This says 2016. I think they meant to put 2020 here. I don't know why they put 16. Because this was right after everything that had happened up in Minneapolis with the guy that, well, we all know what happened up in Minneapolis, that tragedy. So here's this guy in Providence Journal trying to make some distinction and some distance between him because he doesn't agree with his friend. But the agreement or disagreement between these two about the super PAC of Black Lives Matter or the Black Lives Matter Rhode Island chapter versus anybody else, none of that matters. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is what Trump said and his own opinion of it. Just like the guy that went and took out his frustrations on the guy that was, well, you get the story. You get the story. It's the same idea. It's the exact same idea. It goes to intent. The intent of Donald Trump was to be bragging about getting the endorsement of a BLM person. Whether that BLM person has any credibility or not doesn't matter. Just like the brain tumor didn't matter. So I will leave it there. But one thing I wanted to share with you guys about YouTube right here at the end. A lot of channels have been facing this. A lot of channels have been fighting this. Yesterday, I put up a video that was a live event that we had covered some time ago. Trump live from Florida. And for some reason, fully monetized. No problem with it. He said some of the same things in other videos that I have gotten strikes for. I don't understand it. Honest to God, my normal videos have lately been between 4 and maybe 8,000 views a day. This one, in less than a day, got 24,000 views. No idea why. No idea why. I know that it was shared over at beforeitsnews.com, but 23,000 views for a channel my size is these days an absolute outlier, which is absolutely crazy when my channel was half this size. When my channel was half this size as far as subscribers, it wasn't all that hard to get 5. Like here was the Fitzgerald, the first one on the USS Fitzgerald, U.S. Navy scrambling. This is 6 years ago, 510,000 views, and at that time, I had maybe 20,000 subscribers. I had maybe 20,000 subscribers, and I got 510,000 views. Same thing with the Antarctica stuff, issues in the Caribbean, the issues with the prisons. It's insane. It's crazy. So this is why I talk about the Patreon channel, because there's no rhyme or reason here on this platform anymore. So God bless all of you. Thank you so much. I very much appreciate it. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.